it's Brandon here from Lakey Loves, and I'm back in Cranbourne Gardens. This week the weather's not so good, so we're inside, but we have some beautiful plants here, and I'm going to be talking to the amazing Matt Henderson. He's a horticulturist here, and he's working on the Raising Rarity program, and he's got lots of interesting stories to tell us about these beautiful plants and some of the others on the table. How are you doing, Matt?
Very good, thank you. Glad to be here today.
Oh, so nice to chat to you. I've been looking forward to this. Now today we're going to be talking about Veronica nivea, which is this beautiful plant here, and we're going to tell you why it's so important to raising rarity and why we want you to put it into your gardens. Take it away, Matt. Tell us all about it.
Happy to. This beautiful little plant is Veronica nivea. It is endangered in Victoria. It comes from the multiple different mountain tops through Victoria, Lake Mountain, Bor, and there's a couple of populations of it out at Falls Creek too. What I find so special about this plant is we think about the Alps as being this exotic, sort of almost exotic place with beautiful wildflowers and something a little bit separate, but this is where you can bring a little bit of the Alps into the home. So currently this plant in the wild will be under a couple of foot of snow in its natural environment, but here it's beginning to flower because if we think about the climate difference, down here it's almost springtime. Well, it is springtime for it.
All the wattles out?
Yeah, and this little plant will consecutively flower. As you can see, it flowers up the stem, and this starts now, and you'll have flowers all the way to autumn.
It's fantastic as well. It's so green. It's a lovely soft plant to have in your garden bed. It's very tactile. I just want to kind of stroke it.
Yeah, and it's one of those plants that I always think if you've got maybe a cottage-style garden or a herbaceous border, it's a great border plant. I actually have multiple in my own home garden because it attracts the little insects and native bees, and because it's always flowering, there's always a little food source for them.
Oh, beautiful. And how big do they get?
So they usually get to about this big and then spread out, and then once a year, once they're finished flowering, we just take a little trim. Once they get these new growth will come out the centre, trim all the old bits around it, and it just completely refreshes the plant.
Oh wow, that's amazing. So why is it so important? Why has this plant been chosen as one of the main plants in raising rarity?
As a plant, it represents these alpine environments in Victoria, which, as many would know, they are very delicate ecosystems and are in a little bit of danger going forward. And they grow in little pockets of vegetation, very specific climate, and any kind of change can disrupt this plant.
Yeah, the ecosystems are so delicate. Like they're incredibly robust the last 1,000 years, but now with urbanisation, logging still too big a thing in the Alps for my liking. There's all of these other stresses that are coming under, and climate change is a big thing as well because their habitat's changing. Yeah,
that is a very interesting point because the habitat of this plant, as it is quite small and delicate, as the climate warms, a lot of the shrubs in the Alps, we think of some of the bigger shrubs like Grevillea australis, are actually doing a little better, and they're actually going further up the mountain. And these shrubs are quite robust and big. And if you think about this little plant next to a big robust shrub, it's got this little zone, and if these plants start moving in, all these delicate little beauties actually get crowded out.
Yeah, because there's not enough sunlight filtering through, they're already competing with the taller trees and the eucalypts and everything else out there.
There's only so high you can go up the mountain before you run out of mountain.
Yeah. That's a good one, I like.
And like I said, the beauty of this plant is that although it is endangered in the wild and it is very delicate, you take it out of the wild, put it in the garden, and it does beautifully. So this plant is very strong when it is given the chance.
Yeah.
We just need to keep that going in these delicate ecosystems.
Yeah, very much. And that's why it's so great for you to be able to put it into your garden because we're helping keep the plant alive and around. We're helping expand on the DNA.
Yep.
So there's so many good things about bringing rare plants into the garden, and it's fabulous that the work that you, Russell and Meg and everybody are doing is really working out what plants are going to work best in our garden so that we can get the best results and enjoy them year round as well.
And one of the beautiful parts of working for this organisation is we often get to go along with botanists like Meg with the seed bank, and we go to these locations, we find these plants, we see them in the wild, We help collect seed to go into the seed bank to preserve these plants for the future.
And when we're talking to Meg last episode, if you haven't watched it, check it out because it really is fantastic. And learning about the importance and how many species are in that seed bank. It's just it's mind blowing, really.
Yeah, and Meg did tell me the Alps was one of the areas that they targeted first, just because of how delicate it is.
Yeah, it's changing up there quite quickly, isn't it?
It is. And I always say to people, though, we always think of the Alps as this, that we go to the snow season, we go skiing, but go up there in summer because it is one of Victoria's most spectacular environments. So many wildflowers. You can get January, 24 degrees, sunshine, flowers everywhere. It's absolute paradise.
Yeah, I'm going to have to get up. I don't think I've ever been up in the middle of summer.
Summer is the best time. The first time I went up was in January, and I've never seen so many flowers in my life. So usually, and as you go back down the hill, you go back into the heat. But it's just a little bit of reprieve, and it is a hidden gem in Victoria.
Oh, fantastic. Yeah, I'm definitely going to have to do that this summer. So what's wonderful is that you do get to go out and do your research in the field as well as in the gardens. So what's that like? What's the typical research field trip like?
Oh, the field trips going to the seed bank are a spectacular experience, and we go along to aid the botanists in helping seed collection, which is, as a plant like this, for example, teeny tiny seeds, we can sit there and just pick little tiny seeds, but it is one of the most wonderful experiences. One of my favourite experiences when we went up with two of Victoria's best botanists, Neville Walsh and Andrea Messina, to Mount Buffalo and to help seed collect, and what you learn and seeing these environments and seeing how this plant grows in the wild, it's truly spectacular. If anyone's experienced, you've got a plant in the garden and seeing it in the wild, it's absolutely beautiful.
Yeah, it's a special kind of joy, isn't it? It just lights you up.
I always think the best job ever.
And why does this plant stand out for you?
For me, it's just something about this plant. It is just those beautiful, delicate flowers, the tones in it, the way it can be used in the garden. I always say it's one of those plants for someone who doesn't like. You hear people saying they don't like native plants, or they've got a cottage garden. This plant fits perfectly. Yeah. We plant it in the gardens here along edges, just big masses of it, and it's just a spectacular plant.
Yeah, it's fantastic, and it's that beautiful year-round green as well, which we love with our natives.
Yeah, that colour, and like I said, it does change that. There is that perception of what a native plant looks like, but they're so varied. We've got such a big continent, such amazing
flowers,
ecosystems. And
all the forms, all the colours, everything you can think of, and some of the most delicate tiny flowers I've ever seen.
Yeah.
They're incredible. We've got some other beautiful flowers on display here, these amazing peas, this fantastic acacia.
Yes, that's right. That one's Acacia baumannii, the snow river wattle, which many people may know and have it in their gardens, but this particular plant comes from this subspecies comes from Mount Typo near Cheshunt. It's the only place it grows, and it does have much bluer foliage compared to the typical Acacia baumannii. And for anyone who's grown Acacia baumannii, it does sucker prolifically. This one doesn't sucker, so it fits quite nicely in the garden.
Yeah.
And there's another example. I would never have gone to this place if I didn't work here and get to go on these wonderful trips.
It does. It affords you a lot of opportunities of really seeing what's out there and being able to experience it, which must just highlight your passion when you come back to the garden for the work that you do here.
And I just want to share that.
Yeah.
I want to take, if I can take it, if anyone knows me, I adore the Alps, and I'll just keep talking about it. If I can share just a little bit of it, and if it's with this plant in someone's garden, they can get joy from it. That's fantastic.
All your work is worthwhile when that happens. Oh, fantastic. Tell me a little bit more about why Raising Rarity is so important to you and why it should be so important to all of us.
For me, Raising Rarity is so important because it's about awareness. If people don't know these plants are endangered and rare and they're in the wild, because every person who knows it eventually in themselves becomes champions of this plant. The more people they tell, the more information gets out there. Essentially, it comes down to awareness. Many people may not know this plant exists, but once you know this exists, then the plant nearby in the wild is also rare. And once we see what's in our own backyard that is in danger, that we need to protect, and quite quickly in the action we need to take. And it may seem like a small step of buying a plant and having it in your garden, but you have a friend comes over and you tell that friend about that plant. That's one more person
That's it, you pop it up on Instagram, as we all love to show off like how talented our green thumbs are. And you're sharing it, and it's making such a big difference, right? I've always been really big on, stay curious, be curious about life, be curious about what's around you. And to me, that's one of the things that makes life so amazing, is that you can discover so many things on a daily basis. And just taking that one moment or two moments to kind of stop and look around where you are, and you'll notice something different.
Yeah, that takes me to a story I went to the Alps for the first time 5 years ago. Russell Lark, who's done a previous interview, actually took me, and it just set off. He took me there, and I was just blown away, and it set off an avalanche of just a passion. And something that I didn't know about, plants I didn't know about, and now everyone knows me, I cannot shut up about them.
And I suppose it's the thing as well with your role. I mean, with horticulture, you are looking at specific plants in the garden and looking at building up certain areas of the garden to mimic what you see in the wild. But actually going out there just opens and expands your vision of opportunity and what can be done.
That is how this started. We did decide we were going to start a subalpine collection at the Cranbourne Gardens, and Russell took me to these places. It all started this little conversation. He actually said to me, should we collect all the snow gums? All the different subspecies in Victoria. I was like, great. And then we collected them all, and they're all planted in the Cranbourne Gardens at the moment, and they all have an understory of subalpine plant species and alpine plant species. And that is the importance of going to these places, because for those people that may not be able to get to these places, we can give them a little taste of it at the gardens here.
Definitely. And if you haven't come down to Cranbourne Gardens, it's really worth the while. Even if you've already been to the Melbourne Botanical Gardens, Cranbourne's very different. It focuses mainly on Australia, with a big impact on Victorian plants as well. And you'll walk through a lot of gardens here and go, oh, this looks kind of familiar, I may have been there. There's so many plants coming to flower as well. We've got all the Lobelia coming out. There's just so much colour coming. So the next few weeks it's going to be incredible. And don't forget, we've got the plant sale coming up as well. So that's going to be in late October, 22nd of October. So make sure you pop down and grab some of these amazing plants, pop them in your garden. And if you are interested to be part of a research project that we're setting up, I would love to hear from you. So shoot me an email, let me know in the comments if you're interested. I would love to do a 1 year on. So when you buy the plants and plant them in your garden, we'll do a survey every 3 months, and then we can do a 1 year on follow-up and see where those plants are, how they've come along, what your experiences of them. And I would really, really love to be able to share that with everybody. So if you're interested, please do let me know. Matt, thank you so much for coming in, or so much for meeting me here and chatting to me and telling me about all of these plants. And are you going to be here for the plant sale?
I will be here for the plant sale.
Fantastic. So keep your eyes open for Matt. He'll be around. And if you've got any questions about any of the plants, I'm sure he'll be happy to answer your questions.
Always happy to.
Thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed this episode, and we will see you soon.